be up live. Let me get it adjusted. Pull it back. Be you on there now?
Yeah, that's me.
Does it look alright?
Yeah, it looks fine. It's just delayed like always.
As always.
I'm trying to share it.
Let's see what it looks like.
Here. Let me go to my page. Right.
Yeah, you just shared it to your page.
Yeah.
You can put it on the Texas Soccer Live now. It's a decent shot. It's clearer than it usually is. It's like being on here so we can see the comments. Yeah, I got real lag. I don't know if that was an issue last time too. I got real laggy last time.
Yeah, it's always a delay.
Well, as usual. Is that Richard that just got it? No, it's my buddy Travis. All right, we'll get started in a minute, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate y'all that are joining. We're going to give it another minute for a few people to join, and then we'll get going. We got a lot to cover. We're going to try and get it all within an hour. As usual, I'll go over in a second kind of what the lineup is. So if you want to come back later, or if you're watching this on playback, you want to skip to a certain topic. But we have a ton to cover. Anything else I need to pull up? I got League MX. Pretty much got everything we need for. Okay, I got a bunch of people are joining. All right, feel good to go. And I put up the giveaway, which I'll announce when we get down to the World Cup, and I'll pull that up on the screen here. So if you need to look at my stuff. But, okay, 2:01. We'll go and get started. I do appreciate everyone who's tuning in. Sean Zelez here with my buddy Raul Villarreal. We're here live with you, Texas Soccer Live, episode 11. It's kind of crazy that we've been doing this now since, I guess, March now. 11 episodes, and it is a crazy time of year to be talking soccer. It's great. We got the holidays going on, everything, and it's also great if you're a soccer fan. So kind of give you a rundown of what we're going to go through today, and we'd like to get your comments, so please comment. Please share this video if you're watching live, and join in, comment. We're watching and seeing your comments. We like to get your take on things as we go. So, but if you are watching this on playback later on, or if you just want to come back later, I know people have stuff going on. I know it's the holiday season. We have 4 big topics we're going to talk about today. Number one, of course, we're going to talk about the topic of the day in Houston, and that's your Houston Dynamo in the Western Conference Finals, and now MLS soccer resuming after the international break. So we'll talk about all the MLS playoffs, the Final Four. We then finally have a World Cup lineup to talk about. So we have all 32 teams set, ready to go for this summer's World Cup in Russia. So that's exciting to finally look at that. Even without the United States, you can't help but get excited about the World Cup if you're a true soccer fan. I'm going to give a quick overview of what's going on in Europe. All the Euro leagues are now in business too after the break, as well as Champions League. We got a game on live right now. Champions League is going on as we speak, so we'll maybe give you some live score updates over there. And then finally, our first major playoffs actually probably finish before MLS does at this rate, and that's Liga MX. Mexican League Soccer is starting their playoffs tomorrow. Both of our teams are in it, 1 and 2. So we will break down all 4 matches, as well as kind of look back over the season, which was a pretty crazy season in Mexican League Soccer this year, as it always is, but especially this year. We have 2 chances for a giveaway today. We're going to be 2 different drawings. You can enter in both. I've already posted on the Texas Soccer Live page, and I'll talk about it when we get to the points here. Real simple. If you want to win one of our Texas Soccer Live t-shirts, and I'll be giving away a Dynamo pint glass and a Dynamo hat, along with a show shirt going forward. The first one is, your first option is to, on that post, to comment your pick for the World Cup, now that we have the 32 teams, and your reason why. We don't want to see just teams, we want to see the reason why. And that's the first opportunity. The second one is if you're a fan of Mexican soccer, give us your pick for this year's Apertura champion, who's going to take the title this season. And once again, reason why. You can enter in one or both. The deadline is to respond to the post with one or both of them. If you're doing both, do it in two separate posts. So we see it. We put your name in by the end of the night Friday. So I said 11:59 p.m. before it strikes midnight. At the end of Friday night for that. So that'll be that. Let's jump right into things. Well, first of all, how you doing, man? I already see the fans are getting on about our Classico. I didn't want to be the one to bring it up, but before we get into Dynamo, what do we think about it? Because everyone knows who watches this show. They know you go for Tigres. They know I go for Rayados. We finished 1-2, which we'll get more into. But what were your thoughts on that Classico as people start to talk a little trash on the drive here?
Well, I mean, you have to admit, or I have to admit it, Rayados was on their game the whole game. These last couple games that I've been watching, Tigres hasn't been on their game. Obviously, we blame the coach because he doesn't make the right changes at times. But, I mean, Rayados played their game. They were playing at home. There was a lot of controversy going on about letting the fans in, not letting them in. It was crazy, but, I mean, it was the last game of the season. We both ended up first, second place. We both got home field advantage, and now we're just looking forward to the playoffs. The only way we'd be able to see each other again is in the final, so we'll see if we get that far. But it was a pretty good Clásico. I mean, sadly we didn't win, but we're still 2 Clásicos above them, so I'm pretty happy right now.
Well, I said it before, and like I said, I love a win in the Clásico, of course, but. And yes, you guys still have the whole time. You got the lead on us still for now. I would love it. And you tell me, you were talking the other night to see a championship. To see a Classico, I would love it. I think we'll talk about later on. I think this is the most legit ever chance of that happening in the history of the league. Truly having. I think it could happen. So I'm excited for that. For those who question me, I saw someone on there. Yes. I do go for Rayados, and yes, he does go for Tigres, and yes, somehow we're friends and host this show. But yes, it's like an Oilers and a Cowboys fan together. I know it's weird, but it happens. Okay, we'll come back to that because I'm sure we have some very different opinions on how the Mexican League is going to end. But tonight, we're going. That's why we're doing the show at 2 o'clock this afternoon. We've been going to all the playoff games. Shout out to Marco for hooking us up with the great views the last couple of games, getting some autographs. We were down to the Final Four. The Houston Dynamo that people had written off, and the national media is still trashing, find themselves in the Western Conference Finals after knocking off number 2 Portland, now facing the number 1 seed Seattle. Your thoughts about what's going to happen going forward? Are the Dynamo, is the national media right that we are basically stand no chance and we're going to get massacred?
Well, this is what I feel like has to happen tonight. He has to come up with a lineup that he has to stick with for both games. He can't play one lineup today and then a separate lineup tomorrow. It's just not going to work. They will not get killed, although this will be the toughest challenge for Dynamo this season. And obviously in the playoffs, it's Seattle. Seattle is known for dominating teams. But I don't think it's going to be no walk in the park for Seattle. Dynamo will give them a fight tonight. Hopefully they will be able to score some goals before they go on the road and play over there in Seattle. But I don't think that it's going to be that easy for Seattle. It's not. I've know the last game against the Portland Timbers, I noticed that the Dynamo, they actually woke up while they were on the road, which was pretty big to see them do that, especially when it came down to playoffs. Although it sucks that it had to happen in the playoffs, that they miraculously woke up. But at least they did it and they came in a clutch moment. So,
well, exactly what I wrote down was their road here. I think you saw a turning point. Everyone keeps bringing up their abysmal road record during the regular season. They came out with some tough situations down the stretch. They got in this position in the playoffs by getting a win in Kansas City by getting a clutch tie before that. I think they came into form at the right time. My question, I guess I have two things. A, I think you hit on a big one. That's the lineup. Three of these players, Bonia Garcia, Albert Ellis, and Roma Kyoto, were just came off a pretty grueling. They didn't have an international break, playing for Honduras in the World Cup Eliminator in Australia, and then in Honduras. So it's like, it'd be interesting to see how he's going to manage those guys. I think Manotas is going to play a big role for them tonight. I think Cubo Torres has to step it up. And it's going to be interesting how he uses these guys in subs. I want to see how they use Sanchez. I mean, he's been a veteran who they've used coming in later in games. So this is a game tactically really on Wilmer Cabrera to see how he's going to place that together. On the other side, you got kind of royalty of MLS, obviously with Clint Dempsey, former Dynamo player Will Bruin, a pretty dangerous attack. I will say the disadvantage for them is they're kind of beat up. I'll be the first one to admit I had Portland fans and friends saying, "Hey, if we were healthy, we would have gotten you." Maybe, but that's the reality of soccer, ladies and gentlemen. You get late in the season, depth matters, and the Dynamo showed that we have depth. And as these other teams, you can put an asterisk, whatever you want to put by it. A win's a win in my book. I hate the criticism they're getting. That's like, we're less beat up, I feel like, than others, so we get criticized for it.
Yeah, it's like at the end of the day, I mean, it doesn't matter if you were beat up or not. We still got the win against Portland, and everybody thought we were going to lose against Portland. Everybody thought we wouldn't even beat Sporting KC, but I mean, we did. We won. We got to watch some great, exciting games, the last few playoff games that they had here. And they don't look like a pushover team. The only thing that's beating them up is the lineup. He needs to come up with a lineup that he's going to stick with. We have the talent. We have young talent. We're a great team. You just need to come up with a lineup that you're going to use and that you have confidence in. Don't start a lineup you don't have confidence in them, so you're going to bring up another lineup the next following game. You just can't do that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and the other thing is that, speaking of lines, one of the things I learned from the Portland series was that I wasn't mad about that first leg here in Houston ending 0-0. I know the fans hate seeing a 0-0 draw. Yeah. But with that away goal rule, for those of you who aren't familiar, it's the same way in Mexican League soccer. When it comes down to a tie, away goals are worth more. So that's why with the Dynamo actually had won that series. They didn't need 2 goals. Had it been 1-1 back in Portland in that second leg, Dynamo would advance because although they both had 1 goal, because there's an away goal, it advanced them. So I'm not 100% mad. Now, what I don't like is that you're relying on going into Seattle, which is like, I think, even more of a hostile environment than even Portland was, and trying to pull out a win. I would love to have a couple cushion goals. I think the key here in this game is how does the Dynamo defense hold up? I don't care how much the Dynamo score, if they can pitch a shutout, so to speak. If Joe Willis, who's our backup goalie, who will be going tonight because of our bonehead friend Tyler Derrick, who can't pick his girlfriends wisely or likes to headbutt women. I don't know what his deal is, okay? But he is suspended indefinitely on charges. If Joe Willis can put together some magic like he did in Portland, and some key players on the defense can step up and shut down the attack of Dempsey and Bruin, I don't care what we score. I don't care if it's 0-0. If Seattle walks out of here tonight with 0 goals, I'm giving this to Dynamo. I'm saying they're going to the Cup. It's going to be an uphill battle. You go into this game and you give Seattle 2 goals. Shoot. Down 2 goals. I don't care if you score 2 here. Going to Seattle, having to do the same, it's going to be tough. And I don't see how they're going to do it. My call for tonight is I'm going to go. It's going to be a tough game. It's going to be a grind out. I see a similar game that we saw with Portland in their first leg, that I think this is going to be either a 0-0 tie or a 1-0 one way or the other. I'm hoping if it does go 1-0, obviously that it's a Dynamo 1-0, because it'll put a lot of pressure on them if they're already down on a away goal going back to Seattle. But I'm going to think it's going to be a grind out fest, very tactical, very waiting for chances if the opportunity breaks up. But I'm going to say either a 0-0 tie, possibly a 1-0 Dynamo win tonight. We'll see. What do you think?
It's gonna be difficult because I mean, obviously, going to Seattle, that stadium plays a big role. Their fans play a big role. So I'm hoping that for Houston, I mean, they say it's sold out. So I'm hoping the fans can get into it also. Because I mean, believe it or
That's
not,
all I would ask you. Do you think it's really sold out? I mean, sold out in terms of it's sold out. But do you think every seat's going to be filled?
I don't think every seat will be filled, but I mean there will be more people than what we've seen the last couple playoff games. But I hope the Dynamo fans get into it because I mean, believe it or not, the fans always play a big role. But if you guys are going in and you guys are just sitting there and not even paying attention, then I mean there's no point because I mean you have to put pressure on them. As much as the players do, fans put pressure on the players also, so hopefully they can do that. But I think the Dynamo will walk out with a win. It'll probably be 1 or 2-0. They just have to, the defense just has to be able to shut them down. There's a few things that I've seen. Sometimes the Dynamo's defense collapses a little bit, but I feel like they've practiced it enough and they know who they're going against and they knew that they were going against Seattle, so they came to their senses and came to an agreement like, hey, this is how we need to stand our line with our defense, and if we do, I mean, we're going to get slaughtered. So I feel like they got it together, and I feel like it's going to be a 1 or 2-0 win for Dynamo.
Okay. Any thoughts on the Eastern Conference matchup? I mean, earlier, their game one's going to be tonight. You got Columbus, who came in this thing at number 5, up against the Giants in Toronto FC. Giving any chance to the Crew going forward against Toronto FC?
I'm gonna go with Toronto FC, but I'd like to see Columbus just because of what's going on with them, that they want to be relocated. But I know if they're able to advance and basically show them like, hey, we're no pushover team. We're not gonna let you just move us like that. It'd be nice to see them do that, but I mean, you're going against the team that's up there right now. They're dominating. They dominate anybody. So I'm going with Toronto, but it'd be nice to see Columbus walk out of there with their heads held high.
It'd be interesting to see how this international break affects all 4 of these teams.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see because you can always make the pro or the con argument for having a long layover, a long break. It's curious to see because, like I said, Toronto's on a roll. Columbus are on a roll. I mean, they talk about someone who took on the underdog role and played inspired soccer. I mean, if you're not familiar, if you guys aren't aware, the Columbus Crew are pretty much 99% for sure going to be sold and probably relocated here to Austin, Texas. So this may be it for them, for their fans in Columbus and their last chance. So they are playing very inspired. It'd be interesting to see how they play now that they're running into literally the best team of the year in the MLS. Okay, moving on from MLS action. We finally, in this international break, finally have a World Cup lineup. We have 32 teams set. December 1st, mark your calendars, boys and girls, because that is when we will have the selection of the World Cup groups. We will find out who is playing who in those first several matches, and we can start figuring out the schedule and we get some real predictions. That's going to be really early in the morning, our time, on Friday, December 1st. But we do know who's general in. So what I like to do, if it's cool with you, is I like to go through each continent. Let's see who's in and kind of pick surprises. And before we even talk about picking the whole tournament, which we'll get to, kind of who you feel is your thoughts on the field from that particular federation, from that continent. Surprises, not surprises, who you think is strong, etc. So Africa ended up having 5 teams go in. For my opinion, one of the biggest shockers in terms of continents because their perennial favorites did not make it. You have Egypt, Nigeria, Tunisia, Morocco, and Senegal. For me, big notables, you have no Ivory Coast did not make it. Cameroon did not make it. Ghana did not make it. So an interesting group of coming from Africa. 3 of them, Egypt, Nigeria, and Morocco, were qualified pretty early on. Any thoughts? I mean, I know the African Federation always takes a lot of lumps, and they're not usually no one's ever favored. Do you see anybody in this group able to make some noise and maybe do something legitimate past the group stage?
Well, there's 2 teams. It would either be Egypt and Nigeria, I mean, no disrespect to the others, but I feel like during the international games, they stood out pretty well. I mean, they had some pretty good, interesting games, so I feel like they'd be able to go into the World Cup and actually make some noise. Obviously, I don't think that they'll make it that far, but they'll be able to go in, and they won't be pushover teams. They're actually going to go in, they're going to play, and they looked pretty good during the international games that I've seen, so hopefully they'll be able to do something. But
well, I feel like, and I took this on a show earlier when I was talking about talent leaving Africa and playing in Europe, and a lot of families that are going to Europe, so they're now claiming French and English and German citizenship, and playing for those countries. That's what the talent is. I do think you're seeing that in Africa, the talent drain. It's also a transition period. I mean, like I said, I feel like for the last, 3 or 4 World Cups, you could count on Ivory Coast, Cameroon, Ghana, South Africa to an extent. And so these are some new teams, especially in North Africa, Morocco, Tunisia, Egypt, that are not traditionally in. So I'm really interested to see. I think the Egyptian team kind of intrigues me, what they're going to look like. Nigeria's been there before. But I'm with you. I don't think that we might see 1 or 2 of these emerge if they're lucky out of their. It really depends on the grouping. I think maybe 1 or 2 will get lucky to get out of the group stage, but we'll have to see. Asia, very similar story. Ended up with 5 teams. Australia being the last one to qualify. They won the continental playoff between CONCACAF here in North America and between them and Honduras. So we have Australia, Saudi Arabia, Japan, South Korea, and Iran. Thoughts on that field?
Australia and Japan. Australia's a pretty good team, but I'm surprised that they had to struggle to get into the World Cup. And Japan's always in the World Cup. It's always interesting to see them play. They have good talent, but it's kind of funny to watch them play because sometimes they play well and then sometimes it's a joke. Like, I really don't understand how that works. Although the Japanese league is pretty good. They have some good teams. They have very good players. They're fast too, but I mean, you see them compared to like Ronaldo and Messi. They play against them, and it's just like they're small players compared to these.
I think like Kagawa was like the one guy that was mentioned as being in the running for Asian Player of the Year. But yeah, the Japanese are always there. I'll give them this. They always have what always goes for them is they always have a religious fan base that follows them wherever.
Yeah.
They'll be there in Russia. You'll see the Japanese there. South Korea intrigues me a little bit because they've shown some flashes in the past. I don't know what to expect out of Iran or Saudi Arabia, to be honest with you. I think soccer, some of the biggest growth has actually been in the Middle East. If you look at the leagues, like in where the next World Cup is going to be in Qatar or in the United Arab Emirates and UAE and these smaller countries, there's a lot of money there. Those leagues have really developed in the Middle East. So I'm really curious to see as those leagues develop, is it translating to actual talent? So it'll be very interesting. North America came up short. The continent sending the least amount of teams from CONCACAF. And this was set a while back. As we all know, the USA will not be representing CONCACAF. Instead, you have the perennial favorites in Mexico, Costa Rica, Panama. For me, besides the U.S. not making it, no surprise on the teams that are going from CONCACAF. For me, this is all about how much can Mexico not choke. Like I said, I say this time and time again, I don't doubt Mexico's talent. I don't doubt the talent at all. I do question the leadership sometimes, but I definitely question as an organization, as a federation, their ability to handle high-stakes pressure situations. Your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. Me being Mexican-American, I do not believe that Mexico will do damage in the World Cup. Although they do deserve it to make it, I mean, they did pretty good during the international games, although they had some trouble with the coach. But, I mean, it's no surprise. Panama was strong. Costa Rica is always a strong team. I noticed that in Brazil.
A deep run, yeah.
Yeah, they had a pretty good run. So the only thing that kind of caught me off guard was, I mean, USA. But I seen the games that they played, and they hyped up the coach too much. He wasn't what everybody expected. Yes, he got wins, but he did not come in clutch moments when they needed him. Mm-hmm. And I feel like what they need to do is they need to sit down, rethink their roster, and rethink their coaching staff, because, I mean, I can't remember when, it was in '89 that they missed their World Cup since '89 or something like that. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure. But, I mean, I think this should be a wake-up call for the U.S. and be like, it's a wake-up call for them saying, hey, like, we need to wake up this young talent that we have coming up, and out with the old, in with the new, get a new coach, and we can move forward from there.
Well, two things, and it all involves young talent. What I don't get, it's okay. It's frustrating to be a USA Soccer fan right now, and this is unacceptable and ridiculous. But you know what, Mexico fan, I think the same thing is true for your team as well. How many years are you going to have so much talent at your disposal? I mean, I get it. We've had talented U.S. players. There's a talented pool. But if the U.S. really had the talent, the true talent that keeps feeding in, like the Mexican system has, this would be even more ridiculous and unacceptable. I mean, the thing is, with the Mexicans, looking at the Mexico team, not only are they loaded, but they're loaded for the next generation coming up. I mean, the young talent that's emerging already, your 16, 17, 18-year-olds coming up in the Mexican Federation is ridiculous. Now, the good thing is, U.S., good news for you, you also have ridiculous talent going up. This is a question for both countries, in my opinion, of management. And not just the manager who's on the field. I think more so with the Mexico situation has been that. I've now noticed, after looking at, okay, we've gone through Jurgen Klinsmann. We've gone through Bruce Arena in the U.S. Yes, I get part of it is on them as managers. But I see a bigger system issue here, goes all the way to the top of the Federation. Versus in Mexico, I don't think it's an issue with the Federation. They've set a good structure, academies, youth, talent coming in. Them, it's more of a coaching and just them on the ground level. This is a higher level thing with the United States, and needs to be sorted out. It needs to be sorted out now. I think there needs to be a change to the president of U.S. Soccer. I think there needs to be a re-emphasis and reallocation of funds to the academy programs. I just think everything needs to be retooled. I think there needs to be a media campaign that targets the youth. You need to continue to develop the MLS. I think you need to basically take a break and take the opportunity that, look, there ain't going to be another World Cup till 2022. So go ahead and take the next couple, 2 or 3 years. Let's not worry about that. Let's develop a young team, but let's develop everything else and look beyond 2022, because it's just going to be the same crap.
And the next World Cup would be in the U.S., I believe.
Which would be a golden opportunity. Looking to 2026, if that bid comes through, which I forgot if it's come through or not, the infamous, the North American bid, as we're calling it, which basically says U.S. is the host with a couple games of Canada, a couple of Mexico. If that happens, I mean, that we'll talk about an opportunity to be. So, U.S. fans, you got to be patient. I know a lot of U.S. sports fans want stuff to happen now, but we got to be patient.
Yeah, it's a little too late to start to do something last minute, but
I mean, we're talking about 2022 as well, not just 2018. I mean, this is a process that
it's like a rebuilding moment for these guys. You got to rebuild. It sucks that you have to. You don't necessarily have to start from the bottom. I mean, you have a few pieces that you want to keep, but you basically have to break it down to its core and rebuild it back up, and then
your leaders and veterans of a future U.S. World Cup team are currently your people who are 18, 19, 20 years old. The core of your team that will be coming up are 14 and 15-year-olds. That's something we don't even know about yet, that are on the U17, U16 teams. And so that's because I'm projecting ahead 8 years. When we have those veterans, like the Pulisic, who are going to be, in their prime, 25, 26 years old. And that's what I'm talking about.
And Richard just said Mexico does not convince, even though they have individual talent and the potential to draw out a competitive first squad. I agree with you. Yes, there are a few players on the Mexican squad that are just amazing. They have the talent. Obviously, you have Chucky Lozano, who plays for PSV, and he came out of Mexico. But what you have to look at him, he's a young kid. he's young. He's coming up. A lot of the Gios and the Memo Ochoa and them, they're eventually gonna have to leave. Like, you have Rafael Marquez, who they have to retire. You just can't keep bringing them back because you're gonna have these young guys who are better, who they're faster. Times have changed. They just look a lot better. They have more speed. Training wise, they've gotten better training than they did back then. So I mean, yes, Mexico will make it out of the stage group, but will they do damage? No, because they're not there yet.
Well, and I also think I find it very interesting the parallels between Mexico and the U.S. when it comes to their domestic leagues as well. I mean, the MLS is nowhere on the level in the United States that Liga MX is in Mexico, and I wonder if that plays a factor in it as well. Like, I think in the U.S., like if the MLS were to be on the same level to Americans as Liga MX is to Mexicans, like I wonder if that would produce a soccer culture that expects more. And I want the national media. They finally started doing it a little bit, like getting on people. I want them to be like they are in Mexico, and getting on these guys and calling people out for like I said, just putting it together. Oh, by the way, Champions League update: Real Madrid is absolutely killing right now, playing Apoel from Greece, up 4-0, and it's just the first half. So safe to say that Real Madrid is going to be good. So yeah, that's that. Let's move on to where I think we both see the next two, obviously the next two continents, the champion coming from, the real competition, if you will, and that's in South America and Europe. South America is sending 5. I'm thinking probably the strongest 5 teams I've seen come out of South America in my lifetime, at least, for a World Cup together. They are solid from the top to the bottom. They're sending 5 teams in, with Peru being the last one in, winning the Intercontinental against New Zealand in the Oceania region. They're sending Argentina, Brazil, Colombia, Uruguay, and Peru. That's no Chile, not included in there. A strong Venezuela team got knocked out of there. I mean, there's some talented teams that are staying home. That tells you how good these 5 are. What do you think about the South America group that's going to the World Cup?
It hurts me, but I wanted Chile to be in that World Cup. It would have. I know if they would have made it and they would have advanced, Chile would have been one of the teams to dominate. They've been dominant over the years, so it would have been nice to see them, but sadly they didn't make it. I am still going with Argentina taking this World Cup, but my underdog for this World Cup is Peru. Peru is a very, very strong team. They have the passion, they have the players, they have the fans.
Well, these guys now get a national holiday every time they win a game.
Yeah.
The president for the second or third time now has declared a national holiday when they beat New Zealand to go in. So they definitely have an entire country behind them. I mean, I can't find a weakness. Uruguay, I mean, people forget about them. They get lost in the mix.
Yeah, they have some strong players. So, I mean, you have Cavani, you have Suarez playing for those teams. Those guys, they're good.
And don't forget, last World Cup, the kind of coming out party that Colombia had. And they're going to be back in it, not weak at all.
You have Brazil, a.k.a. PSG, coming back to the World Cup. It's
yeah. Well, and Brazil has a lot to prove, right? The motivation's going to be there after getting embarrassed in their own country at the World Cup. Brazil's going to be hungry. Argentina has always been labeled as these ones who can get really far, but can Messi take them all the way? I mean, there's a lot of interesting storylines here and sources of motivation. Peru, the underdogs. Uruguay, that kind of gets forgotten about. Colombia, the young kind of talented team. It is exciting to see. I mean, shoot, I could watch a tournament just with them and forget everybody else. But I'm with you. I definitely think that they are going to be big players in the finals. I think it depends. Let's see how the seeding goes out. I hope that a lot of these guys don't get grouped together and get, kind of dog-eat-dog and knock each other out. I would love to see 3 or 4 of these teams in the round of 16 getting out of the group stage. But obviously that depends on how things shake out. And I think they could do it. I think it could be very interesting. Europe, obviously always sending the most teams. The big shockers not to make it from Europe this year. Italy fell short at the last minute. The Netherlands was knocked out a long time ago. So 2 perennial World Cup teams not going. However, we have Belgium, England, if you remember one of my earlier picks several months ago. Germany, last champion. Poland, the host Russia. Spain, Switzerland, Croatia, France, Iceland, Portugal, Serbia, Sweden, Denmark. A very crowded field. My personal picks out of there, obviously, you can never go against Germany as being former champions of the talent they have. But besides Germany, I have a lot of personal confidence because I've been following since the beginning for whatever reason, and that's the English team coming out of there. I think they can make some noise as kind of the underdogs from Europe, which is weird to call them an underdog, but I guess with how the talented field they are. And my other one, interested to see. I'm not saying I don't know how they're going to do, but there's a lot of expectations on them. Is Belgium? Belgium last World Cup went pretty far, showed what they're made of, and I'm really curious to see, can Belgium once again higher expectations? Can you execute? All these other teams, interesting. What are your thoughts? And this is a very different field coming out of Europe. I feel like than we see in the past.
Well, for me, out of this group, I'm sorry, but Spain has died over the years. They lost a lot of their key players. They're done. Obviously, Germany being the number one pick always. You just won the last World Cup. They dominated in that tournament in Russia. I'm sorry, but Russia, you're the host, but you will not make it far. Hopefully, nothing bad happens. You guys go crazy just because you didn't advance. But the teams out of this group are Germany, France, England, and Belgium. Those are the strongest teams out of that group. You have Portugal, which potentially can make some noise. You have Ronaldo playing there. You have some good players out of there, but obviously Germany being number one. I say France number 2, England number 3, and Belgium number 4. But those are hopefully neither of those get stuck with each other in the same group, but it'd be nice.
Yeah, we'll have to come out. We'll probably come to you with a very early December. One of us will, especially because December 1st is going to be interesting to see once these guys get divided out. Then we can probably make some better picks because you can probably, once we get those groups, we can more accurately determine who's going to be 2 out of each group, who's going to be the 16, and that you can start really predicting. For me, like I said, I don't know why I've been on England nonstop. I know that it's their offense. It rides or dies with Harry Kane. I know how it is, but this English team has impressed me. Although they have not impressed their own country, their own media has been brutal to them. But I actually like them. I agree with you on Portugal. They could be a little bit of a surprise in terms of the young talent they have around Ronaldo. It's not just a team of Ronaldo. And, Sweden. I'm curious to see how Sweden's going to look as a late person who made it in. They're the ones who knocked out Italy to get in there. Now, Italy has a whole other set of problems. That showed you Italy not making it was very surprising to me. But when you look closer at it, they got some serious issues to sort out. You want to talk about another country like the U.S. who's going through some issues organizationally, that's definitely one.
What sucks is that, you have to say goodbye to one of Italy's best goalies ever, Buffon, who retired from the Italy national team. So,
and this way he would have been in the World Cup,
Sad to say, but he had to say goodbye, and can't do much about it. We've seen him play in World Cups before. He was great. Obviously, everybody remembers that one game where Suarez bit, I can't remember, I believe it's Chiellini from Italy.
Yeah.
But you gotta say goodbye. Obviously, you have Xabi Alonso who retired, and he played for Spain. You're not gonna see a lot of these old guys that were just great to watch play. But it has to come to an end. Obviously, one day we're gonna have to say goodbye to Messi from the national team. We're gonna have to say goodbye to Ronaldo from the national team.
Yeah.
So, it sucks, but we gotta enjoy what we can while they're still here.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that leads us to. It reminds me that some people have already responded to it. I saw on the Texas Soccer Live Facebook page. Our first of 2 giveaway opportunities involves this World Cup lineup. If you want to enter to win one of our show's T-shirts and Dynamo gear like a hat or a pint glass, all you got to do is you got to go to that post on Texas Soccer Live and tell us who you think is going to be the champion of the world come this summer, and give us a good reason why. And you'll be entered, and do that before the end of the night Friday, and you'll be entered in a drawing for that. So that's the first of 2 opportunities. The other one involves Liga MX, which I'll talk about in a second. Before we move on, finally, your pick, and I go back to the teams here. If not knowing that, I know we don't know the grouping. Who you think out of this whole field of 32 are the best 4 teams, and total, I don't care from what region, best 4 teams. You can rank them or not rank them, up to you. And who do you think is going to take it all? I know you said Argentina. You think it's your take?
Argentina being number 1, Germany being number 2. I'm going to go with France as number 3, and Brazil number 4, underdog Peru as number 5. That's the underdog.
I'll slightly change it. I'm gonna put Germany as still a perennial favorite coming in at number 1. I'll put Argentina number 2. I think Germany's actually gonna repeat. That's what I'm calling. My third pick, and I think upset pick if they were to blow up, would be England, because I've been riding with them. Next, I would put. Who do I want to put? I'm actually going to go with Portugal. I'm going to go with a couple upsets here. I'm going to go with Germany, then Argentina, then England, then Portugal. My wide out, just dark horse, Colombia would be my big dark horse. All right, so let's see what happens going forward. So like I said, get on that. Give us your pick, what you think. It's just our opinion, and we'll go from there. We'll definitely come to you when we have the actual selection on December 1st, and we get that figured out. Just real quick, just give a quick rundown, and Ro, if you want to chime in on any of these, I just wanted to kind of update the fans on what's going on in Europe. Now they're back in action from this past weekend. Not much has changed. There's a few changes, but one place there's been no changes, the Premier League. Man City continues to dominate first place, 34 points. Man U is now falling behind by 8 points with 26 at number 2. Chelsea in number 3 with 25, and Tottenham in 4th with 23rd. You have Liverpool, Arsenal, Burnley, and Watford behind there. Big storylines this week. Pogba returned for Man U, and Zlatan is now healthy and is coming back. So it'll be interesting to see is now with those 2 stars back in the lineup, can Man U catch Man City now that they're about a third. They're about the third mark away through the season, not quite, but I'd be curious to see if they can start closing the gap. Zlatan, of course, when he asked, he's recovered a lot faster. He was not supposed to recover until I think February or March. Yeah. There it is, December, November. He's recovered, and of course, he gave a typical Zlatan response, which is that lions recover faster than humans. So there's Zlatan for you. Bundesliga is the shocker here, not in that who's first place, but who is not second. Bayern Munich is your first place team in Bundesliga in Germany. Schalke out of nowhere has gone to 23rd. Has 23 points in second. Leipzig 3. Notice who I didn't say was in the top 3, and that's Dortmund. Dortmund has fallen all the way to 20 points to 5th. Dortmund has, out of the last 5 league games, have lost 4 and had 1 tie. What the hell is happening to Dortmund? They're talking about axing their manager now. They're having issues even in the Champions League. They're probably going to get knocked out of the group stage of the Champions League right now. And now they can't even qualify for the top 4 in the German league.
I don't think Dortmund's able to handle too many things going on at once. I don't think they're able to handle Champions League and Bundesliga at the same time. So I feel like that's what's kind of screwing them over. But I mean, when you have it just depends on who you get stuck with in your group stage. For Champions League, obviously they have Real Madrid, and for if you have to go in, they have to go in, win 2 games in a row, and expect for Real Madrid to lose. But do you really expect Real Madrid to lose and not make it to the Champions League? No. I mean, they're obviously going to advance, but I don't know. I think it's just one of the off years for Dortmund. But who knows? Maybe they might come back and surprise you. But it's possibly that this is just one of their off seasons for them, to where they're not really there. But I mean, can you really compete with Bayern? I mean, Bayern's just really, really strong.
Well, just speaking of these games, at halftime right now of Champions League, group stage 5 of 6, Dortmund is up at halftime 1-0 over Tottenham, so they've gotten a goal against the Spurs. However, we said Real Madrid up 4-0 over Apoel. Liverpool at halftime is up 3-0 over Sevilla. Man City 0-0 against Feyenoord. And let's see, Leipzig killing Monaco right now 4-1 at halftime. So Leipzig and Schalke are not pushover teams. They seem to have really brought it this year in the Bundesliga. In La Liga, Real Madrid is having some problems, not as bad. Barcelona's in commanding first at 34 points. Valencia, number 2 at 30. Real Madrid is 10 points behind at number 3 in a tie point-wise with Atletico Madrid, with also 24. We saw the snoozer that was at Clásico recently against Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid, which, I mean, put everyone to sleep. But what do you think? You think we're going to see a run this year? I mean, you mentioned earlier that you don't think it's Real's year either. I mean, do you think they're going to make it interesting with Barcelona as we go forward, or do you think Barcelona's going to keep running away with it?
I feel like Barcelona will take it this year for the league. They fell short last season, but I feel like this is their year. This will not be Real Madrid's year. They will not win the Champions League or the league. Barcelona won't win Champions League either, I will tell you that right now. Neither of the big teams that we always see will not win the Champions League. I feel like PSG will take the Champions League. Everybody's been expecting that to happen now, especially with the big move with Neymar and then them dominating also. But for La Liga, I believe it is Barcelona that will take it. And the reason I say that now is because if Real Madrid wanted any chance to take it, they would have to win nonstop from here on out. They would have to win every single game, but like always, there's always these small shockers. They play like the bottom 2 teams and they end up losing. Nobody knows how, but I mean, it's not Real Madrid's year. And I said it last year after the season ended, this would be Barcelona's year for them to win the league. So hopefully they can keep on going and they don't get carried away and give it away and give away Champions League also. So
yeah. There's one comment I missed from Richard was chiming in about back when we were talking about qualifiers. We were finishing up with Europe. We're still talking about Europe, even though domestic leagues. But he's asking about he said, what has Iceland been doing right? He goes, I don't know. They've kind of come out of nowhere. They're a very competitive confederation compared to the others. How did Iceland of all countries make it in? Richard, it was early wins. Iceland had a very impressive UEFA Cup last summer and started gaining points early on. They got early qualifying points, kind of hung on. It is absolutely crazy. You want to talk about underdog story? Got similar to Peru. Iceland's kind of riding that wave. I think the last international match they had, like the number of fans they had in the stands was like half their country's population.
Iceland's an interesting team to watch. I mean,
yeah,
it's nice. It's fun watching them. It's a different playing style, and obviously, I mean, their fans are entertaining also.
It's very. And what I remember from the last UEFA Cup was very aggressive and kind of some people would say reckless, but just to kind of give you ideas, they took care of business. They beat who they were supposed to beat. To give you ideas, going back to the first round, they started killing people. They start off losing to Finland. They have a 2-0 win over Ukraine, 2-0 over Kosovo, 3-0 over Turkey. Okay, a 1-1 tie with Qatar. Dropped 2-1 to Czech Republic. So they beat the teams they're supposed to beat. 1-0 over Croatia, who's another team that made it in. So just impressed, very impressive. And they've hung with people who they've needed to hang with in terms of what they got to do. The big teams, they've had some impressive ties, but they've dropped to bigger teams. They're one of the teams that played a role in knocking out the Netherlands. I remember them beating the Netherlands in a close match, 1-0. Ireland 1-0, who was trying to get in there. So yeah, they've been an interesting team to watch. If you want to pick a European underdog, I'll tell you right now, Iceland wouldn't be a bad pick to see. I think they actually could get out. Like I said, depending on the grouping, they could be they're going to be the third strongest team in a group. I think
that would be the underdog for Europe.
If you're ranked 3 in a group, you're one spot away from getting in. You've got to get that top 2 spot. You don't have to be number 1 in your group to move on. Nothing much of note from the rest of the league, just besides that PSG in France and Napoli in Italy continue to dominate, with Monaco kind of trailing off and Juventus right behind them. in Italy. So nothing crazy going on there. Let's get to our last big topic of the day, and the biggest one because it starts tomorrow, and that is our Liga MX playoffs. That reminds me of our second giveaway. If you want to enter in for a second giveaway, or you want to do this instead of the first one, same post, except this time tell us who you think is going to be the Liga MX champion, and give us your reason why. Before we get to the matchups, let's go through a few things. I wrote down a few facts, kind of get your thoughts, some notable statistics, and I'm going to need your help with probably one of these names because I never say his name right. Top goal scorers for the year. I'm going to go over just some facts and let's talk about some series. Boselli from Leon tied with Hurtado from Rayados with 11 goals this year. Top assist, Mr. and I can never say his name.
Jonathan.
Ureta Vizcaya.
Ureta Vizcaya.
From Pachuca had 9. Only one hat trick. I found this interesting fact. One hat trick all year came from your Tigres with Valencia in the game against Puebla. Clean sheets this year. Guzman from Tigres.
Nahuel Guzman. And Marcelo
Barovero.
Yeah.
From Necaxa, both had 8 clean sheets. In terms of total saves, Sebastian Sosa from Morelia had 70 saves this year. So what ended up being a very defensive year. It was very close. I looked at the rankings. It was like 68, 67 saves. It was up there. So kind of looking back at the whole league before we get into our picks and the matchups. Any big takeaways from this year in Liga MX in terms of surprises, upsets, or not surprises? Either way you want to take it.
Biggest upset, well, there goes 5-0 for Real Madrid. Goal by Cristiano Ronaldo.
It's on his way to a hat trick.
No, but biggest surprise is everybody was expecting for Chivas to be back up there. Obviously, the biggest flop ever. They did not even advance. They didn't even make it in the top 8. Not even in the top 10.
We need to take them down at some point.
Pachuca did not make it, but I feel like they're working on They're working on other things. They have other tournaments going on that they're worried about right now, which is understandable. I mean, you either win one or you win the other. It's kind of hard to win both. Cruz Azul made it. I actually said that I didn't believe they would make it.
They didn't suck for once this year.
Well, I had said that it was going to come down to the last final game. It was either they were going to be in or out. They won. They advanced. They're in. What's going to be crazy, they have in Mexico, they're basically like next door neighbors, so they have it's a young Clásico which is America and Cruz Azul, so that should be pretty interesting to watch. Nothing new. Same teams always advance. You have America, you have Monterrey, you have Tigres. I've said this when they came back, Necaxa. As soon as they came back that season, I knew that they weren't going to be. I knew they weren't going to be a pushover team, and I'm kind of happy that they came back. Lobos Buap was a very strong team at the beginning. They fell short. They didn't advance. But they have a very promising future. They have a very promising future next season. They have something to look forward to. But, I mean, yeah, it's what I expected. It's nice to see that Monterrey finally got back in rhythm after last year. I'm not sure. I don't think Monterrey made it last year. I'm not sure. I can't remember. But yeah, I mean, nothing crazy. Obviously, Morelia's back up there. Morelia after, I believe it was last year that they made it against. Oh yeah, I think Rayados didn't make it. They scored last minute, and after that, they made a pretty good run for the playoffs. So now that they're back, so they're a promising team. But it should be pretty interesting. The season was nice. Tigres obviously started off a bit slow, but we ended up in second, and we got home field advantage, and that's all that really matters to us right now.
Speaking of playoffs, let's get right into it. Let's go game by game. Who you like and why? Well, why not start at the top? We'll start with the first matchup, and this is not what happens. Their first game will be Thursday, late game. Number 1 seeded Rayados of Monterrey versus Atlas. number 8, who snuck in there, which we didn't know until the last minute who number 8 was going to be. Obviously, I think we know our picks. I think we're both going with Rayados on this one. Reason why? I mean, do you think reason why Atlas ain't going to be able to do it?
The way I've seen it, I mean, I've watched Monterrey play. I mean, I watch soccer every Saturday, Sunday, and Friday when I have the chance. There's nobody that can really stop Monterrey right now. They're strong offensively and defensively. Although I don't understand the coach, I mean, I really don't understand where he's coming from sometimes with his changes and subs and stuff. But nobody can stop Monterrey right now. Although it's not going to be easy, I do believe that Atlas can do some damage to them. It's all going to come down to that Thursday game because Atlas is playing at home. Monterrey has to go in and score an away goal. Obviously, it doesn't really matter if they end up tied because, I mean, Monterrey advances, right. Goal differential being first place, yeah. But I feel like Atlas could give a fight. That would, for me, I believe it is the underdog because, I mean, normally the last team that always makes it in is always the first one to advance. So, I mean, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
We've seen that in the past years. I mean, we've seen that with Tijuana one year.
Twice.
We've seen that twice. But, I mean, I don't see anybody stopping Monterrey right now. They're strong, but they will give up a fight.
I know people are going to call me a homer on this one just because, like, it's my team. But I don't think they're going to fall victim to the first place curse that's been going on in the past. It's one of the more complete Rayados teams I've seen in a while in terms of depth offensively. I mean, Hurtado was not beginning of the season. Hurtado wasn't going to be the one that was going to be leading the way, and here he is. He tied the league for goals. You cannot forget. You still have Pabon. You still have Funes Mori. You still have a solid defense. With Montes and others. So. And a damn good goalie. I think they're a solid team. I think their biggest issue is going to be how do you handle the schedule? Like I said, playing away, playing late at night. This is a quick, intense playoffs. This is going to realize with Liga MX. There's not a lot of rest. You know what I'm saying? You get a couple days and back at it.
You play 2 games in 1 week, but that's because
more like 4 days, 5 days.
Yeah, the playoffs finish fast. It will be over, I believe, by mid-December, it should be over. But
now I will say this: people that the curse isn't made up. No, I wrote a little fact here. In the last 10 playoff tournaments, the number 1 seed has only won once out of 10. Twice, the number 8 seed has won it all. So, in a weird sense, if you look at the last 10 playoffs, you have better odds of winning according to history if you're the number 8 seed. I don't think this is, for whatever reason, and like I said, I know people are going to say, oh, it's because it's your team, blah, blah, blah. No, I really think, and you'll see this in my picks, I think the league got it right this year. I think how people played this year in the regular season, I think you're going to see it in the playoffs. I don't think there's going to be a lot of surprises. That's just me. And my take on things, that's my gut. I'll probably be completely wrong, but that's what I'm going with. Let's kind of skip down. Let's take it in order. We're talking about number 1. Let's go to number 2. I'll let you take it away. What you think about the number 2 and number 7 matchup between Tigres and Leon?
That was I can honestly say Leon was the most difficult rival we could have got stuck with. We've had problems with Leon in the past. We've beat them in the playoffs. I mean, obviously, what people don't understand is the regular season and the playoffs are 2 different seasons, basically. Yeah. Anything can happen, anything can change. Me personally, I don't like the way Tigres is playing right now. Hopefully they can make some changes. But that game against Leon, that was the toughest. That was the one rival that we obviously didn't want to get stuck with. But I mean, It happened. Now we have to play them starting tomorrow. We have them play them at 9:30 in Guanajuato, Leon. But I do see Tigres advancing out of that group. Obviously, we made it to the final last year. Everybody already has their favorites. Obviously, Tigres, Rayados, and America are always favorites to advance. but it's gonna be difficult. I mean, it's not easy playing Leon. They have very talented players. They're really fast. They have a few former players from Tigres, so it'd be nice to go against them again. But I mean, Tigres has the wonder team. We have so much talent. We have young talent. We have old talent. It could work out, but they just need to wake up. I didn't like the way that they played in the Clásico. They've had time to rest. I mean, they're gonna start. They've been training. I believe they leave tonight over there. I believe both teams leave tonight to Guanajuato, and the other Monterrey going to Guadalajara. But I see Tigres advancing. It'll be a dogfight. Obviously, it always is. Unless we can go in tomorrow and just kill them with away goals, then we should be fine. But Leon has proven to us you can take all the away goals you want, but we can go back and we can do the same thing to you. So,
right.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be interesting. I think it's, once again, I agree with you completely. I think it's going to be a interesting battle, but I do think that in the end of the day, Tigres will emerge. So once again, we're 2 for 2 here. We both agree that Rayados will emerge and Tigres will emerge. Let's look at number 3, America. They're a very, very interesting matchup with Cruz Azul. Here's the first time we differ. I'm going with the higher seed here. I think America can survive Cruz Azul. You think that Cruz Azul has enough to pull it out. You're going with Cruz Azul to advance from this matchup. Why do you think Cruz Azul is going to be able to knock off America?
The last couple games that I've seen America play, they aren't playing well. America is not the normal America that you're used to seeing too. It's just this season was kind of weird. I mean, there was a few teams that took a couple losses. Obviously, like Monterrey losing to Lobos Buap. It's like you lose to Lobos Buap, but you come back and then you beat Tigres, who is number 2. So it's kind of weird. The same thing for America. I believe they lost to Puebla, and it's just like Puebla's at the bottom, close to being regulated, and you come back and you're able to beat, say, Morelia. It's just kind of weird. But the last couple of games that I've seen, America is not the America that you're used to seeing. And
I want to see Richard, you better comment. I know you're watching. I know you're you're an Americanista. I want to see what he thinks.
And obviously, Cruz Azul has been a joke for years and years now, not being able to advance. But I feel like they're going to be able to make some damage this year, and I feel like they will take out America. I believe the first game is in...
It's at
Cruz Azul's home. Okay,
Thursday night.
So yeah, I mean, they're going to have their fans. It's going to be crazy. But Cruz Azul hasn't made it to the playoffs in a while, so it should be pretty interesting. Yeah. They're going to be, they're pretty excited, but I feel like America's just not on it right now. Great, amazing coach. He's a good coach, but it's the thing is he's going to be able to pull it off like he did during the season. You got them to the playoffs. You got them home field advantage. But like I said, playoffs is something different, basically different tournament. And I feel like Cruz Azul has woken up. They've kind of pieced a few pieces here and there. They've been building the chemistry, but I feel like Cruz Azul will advance. And Richard just said he agrees with me. America is stuck, and Piojo Herrera has commented on that. This time it hasn't been because of the refs they had, and it's true.
It's always a rational America fan. It's rare to see, Richard.
Yeah, well, it's because what screwed America over was the past coach. He lost the final to Tigres, and what did he do? He let go of a lot of players, and that left the new coach, El Piojo Herrera, to work with what he had. He couldn't bring them back, so I feel like that kind of screwed them over. And it's always the same story with a few people. It's like, oh, America's refs and all blah, blah, blah. Yeah. No, it wasn't the refs this year. It's just America isn't there. They had a good season, but they let go of some very, very good
Well,
players.
that should be a good point. They're a team that I'm wondering beyond this tournament. I'm curious as how what their offseason is going to be like. Because I do think they're going to go after some guys in the offseason.
No, they always get they always get strong players.
When you have to payroll like our teams have and America has, I mean, you're expected to go use that money. So it'd be interesting to see who America goes after for that. Last of the matchups. So that's one place we differ. I'm going to still stick with them to eke it out. I think it's going to be close, but I think they'll eke it out. You're going with Cruz Azul, the lower seed on this one. Last one, we have Morelia versus Toluca. We differ on this one as well. I'm going with Morelia, who I think has been on a second half just kind of revelation. And you picked Toluca. Like I said, the reason I picked Morelia is that, in addition to seeing them in person this year, like they became a different team the end of the season, like the last third of the season. They started winning the games they had to win. This is a team that performs well under pressure. And they're in an even matchup with this. I mean, I see them. There's a reason that they're 4-5. They're a team that I don't want to play. I don't want to play them second round. I think they could upset us. They're just a dangerous team, and I don't know how to explain it. It's just that they have this edge to them that they're able to succeed in pressure situations. Not taking away from Toluca. They've had a decent season. I just think that Morelia just has the momentum on their side. That's my opinion. You have a little different opinion. What do you think?
The thing about Toluca is once they get in rhythm, you can't really stop them. I've seen them play before. Obviously, we've come across them in playoffs from time to time. We've advanced, but it's always been a dogfight with them. But once they get in rhythm, they will run over you. And that's what kind of sucks. I mean, I wouldn't want to play Toluca because they're a strong team.
Yeah.
Same with Morelia. They're a strong team. I mean, we ended up tied, I believe, 3-3 with them. It was 3-0. They came back 3-3. But I believe that Toluca can wake up in the playoffs and get in rhythm and basically take over you, no matter if they're home or away. But I'm gonna go with Toluca on this one. But either team that comes out of there, once they get in rhythm, you're not gonna be able to stop them. That's what sucks out of that matchup is that either team that walks out of there, they're gonna be in rhythm, they're gonna be ready, and someone's gonna have to go against them.
Yeah. Well, to kind of last kind of phase, we've got a little picks there. I'm going to kind of run through my two semifinals and what I think how the tournament's going to go. Like I said, we all know this gets blown up, and I'll let you do the same thing. So based on my picks, semifinal number 1 would be Monterrey versus Morelia. Semifinal number 2 would be Tigres versus America. Two crazy games, in my opinion, or two crazy matchups. From that, I'm obviously picking my Monterrey Rayados, and I'll pick your Tigres, because I am predicting a Clásico in the championship with Monterrey winning. So that's my pick. You have a little different route, but it does end with a Clásico, I did notice.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be Monterrey versus Cruz Azul. Well, depends on how the seeding, it's stupid. It always moves around. It always comes down to points and goals and stuff. But I believe it'll be Monterrey, Cruz Azul, Tigres, and I believe I said more. Toluca, yeah. So after that, I mean, obviously we advance and Monterrey advance. It'd be nice to see a final with Monterrey and Tigres.
You hear both of us right now, like what we want, but we're like, it's almost too good to be true, because you hear the reluctance in our voices when we say it. We're just like, final's going to be a Clásico. We want a Clásico, but it's like,
because
it's so unbelievable.
It's because these teams, they're not pushovers.
Yeah.
Anyone can upset anybody.
This is, I mean, like I said, I would say, trying to predict the playoffs of any sport is difficult when you have all your matchups. This is the most ridiculous thing. This is like us trying to predict the stock market. Who the hell knows what's going to happen to an individual stock on any day? And that's what's going on with this. Like I said, I think we're influenced by our own desires that we want to see. But like I said, I don't think this. I mean, would I be surprised if you plug someone else in here? If it's like, a America versus Tigres final. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised by any two teams. That's what's crazy about this. But I know what I want. I only based it off of what I've seen so far, and what I've seen so far on talent and paper. Tigres and Rayados are the two most talented teams. That's just how I see it.
Well, I mean, it's because it's just so unpredictable. There's gonna be some upsets this first week. Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. There's gonna be some upsets, and everybody's just gonna be like, "What happened?" Like,
we'll probably just take this and throw it right away. But
yeah, but I mean, everybody's expecting that final. I mean, that's the only way that we'd be able to have another Clásico in the playoffs that would make it.
I mean, I think we just want it so bad.
Yeah, and I mean, I've seen a lot of other people talking about it, saying, "Hey, like it'd be nice if we could win the Clásico and then play him in the final again."
They beat us in the final.
Yeah, it'd be. I've seen a lot of people talking about that, and it's set up to where it can happen like that. But you're kind of asking for a lot when it comes down to that.
Yeah.
You're pushing your luck.
A lot of chips gotta fall in the right place. A lot of dominoes gotta fall in the right place for it to all connect to go down. Definitely. Okay. Any final thoughts? I mean, before we wrap things up here, any final thoughts on what to look forward to, or kind of what you're on? By the way, 6-0 Real Madrid. This is ridiculous.
No, you guys tune in to the Dynamo game tonight. Should be pretty interesting. If you're going to be out there, make sure you stay warm because it's going to get down close to it's going to be like 39, I believe, close to the 40s. Yeah, so you guys stay warm out there. Enjoy the game. If you're going to be out there, enjoy it. If not, tune in and watch it on TV. It should be pretty interesting. Like I said, I'm saying Dynamo walk out with a 1-0 or 2-0 win. I lucked out with a game-worn jersey from Portland Timbers, Liam Ridgewell. Very, very humble guy. He actually stuck to his word and gave me his jersey. Maybe I'll throw it up on the wall, or I'll bring it on the next show and show it to you guys, but I'm going to try out and luck out again. Try and get maybe Clint Dempsey or Morris or somebody. But try and get a Dynamo jersey, have it on the show or something. But tune into that. Tune into the playoffs. They're going to be very, very interesting.
Yeah. By Sunday, it'll be down to 4.
Yeah, by Sunday it'll be down to 4, and then tune in because we'll try and keep you updated. Because that following week you have those 2 games. You have 2 games again. I believe it'll be Wednesday and Thursday. The times for tomorrow and Thursday, I believe there's one at 7, and then one at 9:30.
7:30, 9:30 tomorrow.
And then Thursday.
7:30, 9:30 Thursday.
And then Saturday would be 7 o'clock.
And 9 o'clock.
And then 9 o'clock. And then Sunday would be 6 o'clock and 8.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys tune into those. You don't want to miss it. Like I said, there's going to be some upsets. Comment, giveaway. We're going to try and bring you some more stuff. Like we've lucked out at Dynamo games and stuff. We've gotten some very good stuff.
We're going to be hopefully giving you some autographed items once we get kind of organized ourselves here. So yeah, remember the giveaway post. It's been pinned to the top of the Texas Soccer Live page. You can enter it twice, 2 different entries. One for your World Cup pick, who's going to win, what country and why, and one for your Liga MX champion and why. You can enter one or both. 2 separate posts if you're doing both by the end of the night Friday, by 11:59 p.m. before it strikes midnight and it's officially Saturday. Have those picks in. We'll announce it over the weekend. Probably into the weekend, Sunday or Monday. I'm sure Raul and myself will come to you with a Liga MX update, kind of looking at the Final 4. I know I plan on coming to you next week, next Friday, when we have the World Cup selection for the groups. So a couple specials for you. We're debating. We'll see. Hopefully we'll have maybe a short show before the holidays, before Christmas. But we know how schedule's getting there crazy. But, we'll definitely won't go off the air completely until between now and then. We'll have some smaller shows at the bare minimum to kind of update you on things. So with that, I'm Sean Tellez. That's Raul Villarreal. We appreciate y'all tuning in. Until next time, go Dynamo.